everyone, this is Nighthawk here, and welcome back to another vlogging video. In a way, this is kind of like a vlogging video, but it's more of a storytelling video. Not a lot of you know this, but when I was in the 3rd grade, I actually broke my wrist. So I feel like for the people that are watching this, I want you guys to get a little bit of a better understanding of what at least the experience was like. And for those of you who are subscribed to the channel, maybe you would like to know some interesting things about me that you probably didn't know. So this happened about, I'd say 7 years ago, back in 2013, when I was maybe 10 or 11. At the time, it was kind of weird because the way how it weird the way how it was weird the way that it happened. Thank you, words. But it was also really strange that when it happened, my parents had just gotten back from a trip. I think back in 2013, my parents went to Arizona in Sedona to, kind of rhymed in a way. They were actually trying to see if we could move out to Arizona back in 2013. Eventually, I think through 2014 through 2016 is when we still tried to make attempts to move, but we didn't. 3 years later, we ended up moving into Arizona after the first attempt in 2016. So I broke my wrist, which it kind of like shocked me and put into perspective that doing stupid stuff will get you a stupid result. Well, actually, no. Stupid stuff will get you a very painful result, is what I should be saying. So when I was in 3rd grade at my school, they had this little system called Y-Care, where I think people from the Y, or just people in general who have signed up for it, they would be like chaperones, or just people who would like take care of the kids until their parents would come and get them, because sometimes their parents they would work late or do something long before or long after their kids got done with school, so they would just have them there, and then instead of taking the bus, the parents would just come pick them up whenever they wanted to. So since my mom was one of the people who worked there, my sister and I would go there after school, and we would just wait there until the other kids are gone, and then my mom would take us home. So we'd be there from like maybe 3 o'clock to maybe 5 or 6. Unless my dad got off early and he'd just come pick us up. So basically one day, the day after they came back from their trip, my school had like this type of zip line thing, which it was basically like this, you had a tire that was in the ground over on one side and a tire in the ground on the other side, and there was this, imagine like, it was this blue steel metal beam that had like a handle where you could just like swing back and forth, or like go back on it and over again. And it was kind of an interesting thing. They called it the zip line, but it really wasn't. They had 2 of them. One of them was like a little bit taller, but the thing wouldn't work. You'd go and swing on it, but you'd have to like move your whole body just to get it to move. And then when everyone thought they fixed it, it never got fixed. So one end was facing the basketball court, and the other one was facing the entrance to where you would actually go to the playground. And when that happened, and at both ends of the zip line, there was like stoppers that made sure that like the handle wouldn't break when you go all the way across. So there's just stoppers there to make sure, for safety reasons. Yet that got me into my situation. So when I was in 3rd grade, I asked this 4th grader to come and push me as hard as he could, which was a dumb idea, because in doing so, let's say I'm facing straight, and the steel beam is this way. The kid pushed me as hard as he could, and I go flying. I go like completely fast as hell. Not really. It's exaggeration. And when the handle hit the stopper, now this happened, I didn't know what the hell was going on. My mom, on the other hand, was seeing the whole thing firsthand. And when it happened, she said that my legs flew above my head and I landed like a rag doll. That was her analogy of what she saw of what happened. And I feel like I was trying to like stop it from happening, because when I landed, I feel like I was trying to like plant my arm down so I wouldn't hurt myself, which was a dumb idea because when I landed, I feel like my wrist kind of either went like this or it went more or this way. It happened one way or another where, hang on, it probably went more like this to more towards the right, because this bone ended up, it wasn't sticking out of the skin, but it was like out of place, and you could totally tell because the bone went like this, and that's not a good thing. So when I landed, I got the like wind kicked out of me. I was like, and I'm using my left hand or arm to crawl my way to the bench, and I'm having my arm like cradled like a baby. And my mom picks me up. She lifts up my arm, and I walk over to the bench. I think her assistant was named Barbara or something, and because God, it's been 7 years. So I'm holding my arm like this, and well, actually, no, my arm was like this. My wrist is completely, I couldn't move it. I couldn't turn it or move it, and when I tried to move it, it hurt so bad. So instead of moving my wrist of where it was like right here, we had to move my arm this way to at least see what it was like. And Barbara, she's over here going, oh yeah, it's not broken. He's probably just a little sprain, or it's nothing major. He's fine. You just you check it out, put a Band-Aid on, or maybe cut himself, and you'll play. No, when the bone is like misplaced, yeah, no, it ain't no damn sprain. It's broken. So they ended up getting 2 ice packs, putting one on this side and one on this side to hopefully like cool it down or make sure that it wouldn't, or at least try to like stop the swelling. And my mom calls my dad so he could come pick me up and take me to the doctor. And I kid you not, it was on, I'm pretty sure my mom put my dad on speakerphone. And I kid you not, I'm pretty sure my dad said, are you kidding me? He wasn't like, oh my God, I'm on my way. He literally said, are you kidding me? And he's like, okay, I'm on my way. And now my dad is a type of, he's kind of old school. He needs to actually see it to actually believe that it happened. So when he picked me up, I got in his car. He's like, okay, let me see. It's your mom probably said something or thought that it was broken, but it probably isn't. He lifts up the ice pack and he's like, oh yeah, yep. So he drove me to the doctor's office that day, and they took me in and they said, you know what, go to the X-ray, because there was like a building that was right across the doctor's office that does X-rays. So I went to go get my X-ray done, and they clearly said that it was broken. I'm like, oh shit. Of course it's broken. The bone is like out of place. Of course it's gonna be broken. What do you think it is? So they do the X-ray and they tell us to go back home, and they'd advise us to go to the hospital later on today. And I think this happened, now granted, school ends normally around like 3 or 2:45. And why care? I was there till probably like 5 o'clock. So it's in the afternoon. It's late. The sun's going down. I'm like, okay. So my dad takes me back home. He has like this little wrap that you can wrap around your arm or your wrist. So he wrapped that around me until we went to the hospital. That night, we went to the hospital. I was in a room, and the nurses what they did was, in my opinion, I think it was kind of stupid, because they were trying to see if they could set it back into place so I wouldn't have to have surgery. Now, granted, of course, hell yeah, I took the choice because I didn't want to have surgery, because it's the first time I've ever had surgery before. So, hang on. So, I'm laying in a bed. My legs are like completely straight. I'm leaned back. And specifically, it was all on my right arm. Now, granted, this is the arm that I have done everything with in my life so far. So, we had one nurse down here by this part of my arm, and another nurse by my wrist, or mostly by my hand. The nurse that was by my hand, she was pulling it, but the nurse that was by my arm in the back was like still also pulling it. So they were pulling it in 2 different directions. They were trying to see if they could put this bone back into place, which it didn't. With my luck, it didn't. They did maybe 3 or 4 tries, and it just wouldn't set. It just didn't want to get set. And my mom told the nurses to stop because apparently the nurse was being really rude or upset. And what she did was she kept on saying, "Oh yeah, we can keep going. We'll get it done." And no, I actually don't. My dad says that he'd never seen me scream so loud in my life. But then again, it's a broken bone and they're trying to set it. It's gonna frickin' hurt. So, later that night, they wrapped. I don't know what they put in like as the base or like the holder, but they put like I think two types of like memory foam or something in here. It felt like memory foam, but they put like two things in here and then wrapped it up, and I had this like I had this like a bit of a cast on my arm for quite a while. Actually, I don't think it was that long, but I think it was like maybe a week or so. And there'll be a picture. There'll be multiple pictures. I think there's like 4 pictures that I'll be going through. That I'll be over here somewhere. I'm pretty sure the picture I just explained of the cast is already up there already. Whatever. Anyway, later on, I didn't really go back to school after that because I had to rest. I had to do something. And then eventually my dad thought that, or I don't know if it was my mom or my dad, or maybe both of them, they figured it might be easier if they got me a splint. So I would basically just be sitting on a couch with my arm on a bunch of pillows, and I'd just be sitting there just with a splint on my arm going, hey, look at this, I'm cool, I got a broken bone, I thought I was cool. No, I'm not cool. It's do a stupid thing, get painful result. So, and then I'd say about, what the lights just flicker? Okay. So I'd say maybe like a few weeks later, I had that cast on, or maybe it was like a few days later. But I went back to the school that day because I wanted to tell the teacher that I was actually gonna be coming back to school eventually, and after the surgery I was gonna have, that I'd be able to return to school because I'd actually be able to have a proper supporter. So that day I went to surgery, and what they had to do was they had to cut my, I think this is what they did. I was freaking knocked out. I was like asleep. So I think they had to cut my skin open to at least put a either 6 to 7 inch metal pin in my arm, which it's not there anymore because I think the reason why they put that in so they could try to make sure that if it tried to grow, if this bone tried to like set it or like heal, it wouldn't heal off to the side, so it would like go back to normal. So, and it was this big red thick cast. Like if you hit a rock on it, it's like I could use it as like a baseball bat and just. So the cast went all throughout my hand, all around my thumb and my wrist, and pretty much up to where my palms were at. It went all the way down up to here, and it went, I'm pretty sure it stopped at like right here, right by my bicep. And the thing was, I could only move my fingers with it. I couldn't really move my wrist or move my hand. All I could move was my fingers. So I had that on for pretty much, I think, the rest of 3rd grade. And one of the things that we were learning in 3rd grade was we were learning how to do cursive writing. And I thought that I wasn't going to be able to, actually pass the 3rd grade because no one could read my handwriting because everything I did was with my left hand. Eventually, I tried to use my right hand a little bit. I think I remember putting the pencil in the cast, not too far down, but like I'd put the pencil and eraser in this way, and I would just try to write like that. I think I tried something like that a while, or I just get a pencil and just do this. I can't remember how I did it, but it was they understand, and I ended up passing it. Not that big of a deal. So, right about a month later, I think sometime in June, I ended up getting the cast taken off, and I thought it was kind of cool of how they did it because since it was such a thick cast that they had to get like a little mini buzzsaw and just, and they just like cut it open. But before they did that, they did x-rays to make sure if it actually healed properly, which it did, judging from how I'm perfectly fine now. But when they did that, and they like peeled it off, or well, they didn't like peel it off, but like they opened it up, and this bad smell came out of it, and my whole arm looked all completely white. It was so weird. It looked like my hand was an alien, or like I just gotten so pale, like I hadn't been out in the sun for months. So, which ironically I haven't been out in the sun for, well, actually no, never mind. So when I got that taken off, you could actually see the pin in my wrist, which one of the things that I noticed and what they noticed too is that the skin was actually trying to grow over the pin. That was the gross thing that happened. Another gross thing that they did, the way how they got it out though, that was very interesting. They put me asleep for this. They put me asleep, they cut me open, put a pin in there, sew it back up, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, maybe that's what that's from. Okay, that makes more sense. But when they took the pin out, because I guess it was kind of like this type of shape, so, or like an L type shape, you know what I mean. So they grabbed a pair of scissors, clanched down on the pin. I don't know which way they turned it, but they turned it one way and then just yanked it out. It freaking hurt. They're like, okay, ready? 3. Then they just ripped it out. I was like, what the The first thing they asked me, are you okay? I said, I'm thirsty. I want something to drink. But then they started wrapping my arm up and making sure that it wasn't gonna bleed out or anything. So once they fixed that, they told me to go down to the base level of the hospital, and we would go and get a makeshift cast made for me. So in this cast that they made only went up to my forearm. Now, it was kind of cool because we actually got to see how they made the cast, and it was a Velcro cast. It was a cast that you just you put your hand in, you slide on, and you just Velcro it over. And if you want to take it off, you unVelcro it, and then you just open it up a little bit, and you can just slide your hand right out. Kind of like a gauntlet, but made for actual broken bones. So in the end, I ended up coming out with an exclamation point on my wrist. So that hole right there, or that big dot, is where they had the pin at. And honestly, I never knew what this big line was on my arm, and I'm assuming that's probably where they cut me open at to actually put the pin in, which is strange. I didn't think about that until just now. But that actually makes a lot of sense. But if you look at it from a certain angle, it looks like an exclamation point. But basically, my right arm is always excited. One of the things I was also surprised about when I did break my wrist, since the whole playground was full of mulch, I'm honestly surprised I did not hit a vein, because my hands are very veiny. And as a child growing up, I always thought it was kind of strange or kind of cool. But now knowing that those things can kill you, and if you cut it, then that's not a very good sign. So that is pretty much the whole story of how I broke my wrist. Kind of a dumb thing to do. So basically the story, or the lesson of this story, is don't do stupid things. And if you're gonna do stupid things, think before you do them, because now granted, some stupid things can lead you to success or get you money of some sort, or they could cause you immense pain or death, which is one of the things that happened to me. I did something stupid, and that was the consequence. Now, some people ask after they saw my my scars, they're like, well, you could get some moisturizer and just it'd still be there, but it wouldn't be that noticeable. And in a way, it's a reminder that you did something stupid. This is the consequences. Don't do it. And honestly, I kind of like it. It gives me a type of, I don't know. I don't know why I like having scars, but it's just interesting that, it's just something interesting. I don't know. It's probably like a guy thing. So, lesson number 1, think before you do something stupid, because it can either be painful or it could be good. Most of the time it's going to be painful. 2, just don't do stupid things. Don't be stupid, okay? Common sense. It's like, oh yeah, you did something stupid. You broke something. Yeah, it's like saying, yeah, you stick your hand in a fire, it's going to get hot. Because fires are hot. So, with that being said, if you guys like this video, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of this video. And for those of you who are watching this, I'm assuming if it's any of my friends back from Indiana, if you guys remember when I had my broken wrist, let me know what you at least remember, or if what you thought of it, for those of you who were around. Which not a whole lot of you were probably around or were a friend of mine, but it's okay. Also, I haven't released the thing I've been saying for the past couple episodes. Once I actually get it all set up and everything and it'll be ready to go, I will then show you guys what it is, and I hope you guys are really gonna like it. I actually have told 3 people, some of my friends back in Indiana, but it's mostly because I want their opinion on it first, because most of my fans are from Indiana, I think. I feel like that's where they're from. So that's probably where the base of it's going to be at. So that's why I wanted to make sure if they would. I even showed what it is that it looks like. So, and again, for those of you who don't know what it is, if you can guess what it is, I will give you a shout out because that means you guys were able to figure it out before I even told you. If you guys do like this video, share it with your friends and family. You can send them my way. I can show them cool videos like this one and all the other videos I've made in the past. Remember to leave a like and subscribe. This is Nighthawk, and I'll see you guys in the next video.